So how do you come up with a sinusoidal function to model this situation? So what I did is I graphed XY axis, and then since it told me that at midnight the temperature was 50, and that's like the midline, and the reason I knew that was the midline is because they told me the high was 57, the low was 43. So I plotted these four, like with any sinusoidal, I plotted these 4 points. I knew at midnight it was going to be 50, then the maximum would be 57, and then it would come back down as it started cooling down. It would come back down to 50. Then the minimum, which would happen, that's the other thing I got to show you. The minimum would happen then, and then back up to 50 at the next midnight. So what I did is, as with any sinusoidal, I get those critical as turning points. So I knew 4 lines over would be like the 2 pi, but I know that's 24 hours. That's the period. That's how long it takes to repeat. Then I split these up into four points. What I didn't write is, since each of these, it's taking the 24 hours and splitting up into 4 parts. I know 12 hours at 12 noon, it would have been back down to the 50 mark, and that's 6 in the morning, and that's 1800 hours. Let's make sure that's right. Okay, so from here, what am I going to do? Well, I did graph in these lines, the y equals 57 and the y equals 43, just to give myself a place to start. And then after I graphed those points, I sketched a very rough sine curve. I knew it was a sine curve because it's going to start at 50 and then go up to the maximum and back down. Okay. So the first step I like to do is I like to find the period. So I know to find the period, to find the b number in the equation, it's always 2 pi divided by the period, right? So since I knew it repeated every 24 hours, I took 2 pi over 24 and we simplified that to 12 over pi. So that's, pi over 12. So that's my b. Then I noticed that it went up 7 and down 7 from that midline of 50. That told me that was the amplitude. So I knew the amplitude was 7. I also noticed that there doesn't appear to be any phase shifts. Because they're telling me the temperature of 50 starts at midnight, so I didn't have to do any left-right phase shift. Then we notice that the midline, instead of happening around the x-axis, is happening up around this line y equals 50. So that told me that it's been shifted up 50 units. Okay, so then to put this all together, there's my b. I said it was sine. There's my amplitude, and then I shifted it up 50. So this corresponds to that equation, y equals a sine bx plus c. And of course there's no left-right phase shift, so I'm not going to bother with the plus or minus inside. So then I went out to Desmos calculator and graphed that equation that I just came up with, and I wanted to check some certain points. And at midnight I'm seeing that it's 50 degrees. At 6 hours later it's maxing out at 57. At 12 hours later, it's back down at 50. Then it's down to the low at 43, and then back up 24 hours at 50. So that certainly models the situation that I set up. Hope that helps.